Welcome back. This week I actually do have a made-for-sci-fi movie for you. The 2006 Dead and Deader, starring Superman himself, Dean Cain. Oh, and Peter Green is also in it. Of course, some bad guy. You know, I often wonder what it would be like to meet some of these actors that constantly get cast as the assholes of the film. Are they really like that in real life? I mean, because they play their part really well, and you hardly never, if ever, see them cast as anything else in a film. The movie starts out somewhere in Cambodia, and because my mind works the way it does, I automatically have stuck in my head,
it's a holiday in Cambodia. It's just good, but it's alive. It's a holiday in Cambodia.
But make no mistake, people, this is no holiday. We have a military squad of 4 checking out a station that HQ lost contact with. And I think Dean Cain may be a little rusty on his acting skills.
HQ lost our contact with the compound 2 days ago.
Now, to be honest with you, I didn't catch it the first time either. But keep your ears and eyes tuned to Dean Cain. He's the one in the middle on the left.
HQ lost our contact with the compound 2 days ago.
Yeah, right? You heard it too. He totally jumps the gun on his line, doesn't he? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our cue that we are in for an amazing ride when we can't even get 2 freaking minutes into this film without a mistake. Are you ready? Because we're strapping in and we're taking this ride. The squad gets into the building and a little mayhem ensues. Dean, or Robert in this case, is alive long enough to request medevac, and then he finds himself in a not so great situation.
What the hell are you doing?
And discovers that he arrived in a body bag at
Fort Preston Army Base.
California?
oh hell, why not?
California?
California.
California?
You know, the weird thing is, Coroner Flutie doesn't seem concerned about the situation at all. I mean, a dead man just woke up on his autopsy table. Oh well, I guess those military men have seen it all, right? I mean, spaceships, aliens, zombies. Hell, they've probably even had zombie aliens. Coroner Flutie is trying to convince Lieutenant Robert Quinn that he needs to stay for some tests when...
What's wrong?
What is that thing? Dead.
Now, I'll fill you in just in case I accidentally leave some loopholes in this review. Apparently, the little shack in Cambodia is running experiments on the Fountain of Youth, or Jindu. These beetles, or things, bear with me here. I know that they're scorpions, but apparently scorpions don't exist in this world because every time they're seen on camera, we get, "What was that?" or "What is that thing?" replied with, "I don't know," or "some bug." Anyway, according to Cambodian legend, they hold the key to immortality by creating zombies. The reason why we're researching this is because we have a genius that is dying of cancer and he is looking for his salvation. Caught up? Good. Let's move on. Now, after Robert cuts the bug from his arm, Coroner Flutie pages Dr. Boyd to the autopsy room. Dr. Boyd asks some questions, orders complete quarantine, and tries...
Hey! Just pump into me.
10 cc's of propofol. You'll be unconscious in a matter of seconds.
Well, looks like your knockout cocktail was a bust, Doc.
Of course it didn't work. He's a zombie. He's got no pulse. Therefore, no way for the injection to travel through his bloodstream. This doctor has no brains and apparently no authority because we cut to Robert sensing that Sergeant Cruz's body is still on the base and wandering the hallways with Dr. Boyd trying to find out where Cruz is. Way to quarantine, Doc. We end up in the kitchen with a sprinkling of inconsistencies and a dash of ridiculousness. Inconsistency 1. As Chef Judson chops the chicken's head off with a cleaver guillotine thingy, he puts it back into the up position. Kitchen shots up,
I know my food smells
door shots
delicious, but
down.
dinner isn't served for another
Kitchen
hour.
shots
So
up.
vamoose, shoo, beat it.
Door shots
Come on
down.
now, soldier.
The doctor loses her glasses walking 5 feet. Glasses? No glasses. We have a visibly fake hand in which you can see the rubber pulling as the doctor bites it. The doc gets scalped by the ceiling fan. And about a pound or so of zombie flesh gets turned into hamburger. But when he pulls his hand out of the grinder, only his fingertips are gone. After the zombie killing is complete, the military police show up and take Robert and Judson away. And during Robert's questioning by the major, we get this pretty little line.
Your record is impeccable, Lieutenant Quinn, I'll grant you that. But your story has more holes than a Michael Bay film.
Really? I don't think you're allowed to trash other people's work when your film itself has plot holes and is just a big, well, you know what? I'll save my true feelings until the wrap-up. The two are escorted to the brig when they escape and steal a jeep in order to track down yet another body of Peter's squad that has left the base in transport. The jeep eventually overheats in the warm Cali sun and they have to hoof it. They come across the remains of the transport that was carrying the body. Well, there's your problem. It doesn't have an engine block. They find nothing but some remains of army uniforms and a body bag. The search continues, landing them in some hillbilly bar where they bond with some hot film student bartender named Holly, played by Susan Ward, over what the TIE stands for in TIE Fighter.
In Star Wars, what's the TIE stand for in TIE Fighter? TIE's an acronym for Twin
Ion Engine.
We now have our love interests. The bar patron sees Robert and Judson for the reward that is now on their heads and place them in the cooler. Zombies enter, infecting everyone except Holly. She runs to get Robert and Judson, and more zombie killing begins, at which point the police come in. The two are arrested again.
It's not what it looks like.
But only for a brief time. The three escape and break into a costume shop to pick up some disguises. Oh no, your eyes do not deceive. They break into the household of the last remaining zombie of Robert's squad, and the nosy next door neighbor catches them, and they've acquired another tag-along. All four head to the funeral home where they find out the body was already picked up, and then... Commercial break! They're kidnapped. Green Jell-O.
Literally resuscitates dead cells. But in order to produce these mutant cells, the victim must feed on raw flesh or it will die.
We learn that Robert hasn't become a flesh-eating maniac because he cut the Jinju out of his arm before it had time to fuse to his heart. So everyone is taking a trip back to Fort Preston to pick up yet another zombie that has the Jinju still in it. Of course, Fort Preston is now completely zombified. In a nutshell, the Jinju is killed. Doc is torn apart to become a useless second-generation zombie. Robert, Judson, and Holly blow up the place, making their escape, and we end with...
I can joke, all right? But you know what? Being dead, it really made me appreciate how important it is to really live, and I'm going to start doing that right now.
Could we get any sappier? As I mentioned at the beginning of this review, this was a made-for-sci-fi movie. And after my last episode, you can probably guess where I'm going to go with this. Yeah, I thought that this was a big steaming pile of poo. I actually enjoyed it much less than Zombie Wars. The special effects were a little better done than Zombie Wars, but there were plot holes and an assed-up storyline. Inconsistencies detracted from what was happening in the film, and their hidden movie trivia, it was just a little too much for me. Now, I can appreciate a good movie where they reference the classics. But I think the movie itself either has to be a comedy or a very well written, loophole free, lives up to the classics horror movie itself. And this completely flatlined for me. Now, Dead and Deader did have some comic relief, but for the most part, I think that this movie took itself way too seriously in order for the movie references to really work. Now, the references, in case you missed them. The two transport drivers arguing over who the best Bond was were named Private Connery and Private Lazenby after the Bond actors. There is an Officer Raimi, named for the Evil Dead mastermind himself, Sam Raimi. There's an Officer Campbell, named for the amazing Bruce Campbell. The actor that plays Coroner Flutie had a reoccurring role on Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Principal Snyder, who replaced Principal Flutie when he was eaten by his students. Then, of course, we have the few Star Wars references. When Holly and Robert follow everyone onto the base, they have a Dawn of the Dead original and remake discussion. When Robert and Judson are trapped in the cooler, Judson asks Robert to make a fire with his heat vision, referencing Dean Cain's Lois and Clark days, and yada yada yada. It just goes on. I hated it. This film was not for me. But you can let me know your true feelings on the film Dead and Deader at zombiechick.reviews@gmail.com. Check out lateoffproductions.com for some of our other shows like Laszlo the MST Guy. If you like Mystery Science Theater, you're gonna love this guy. And become a fan of Zombie Chick on Facebook. Now remember, as long as I'm doing this, I don't have to go hunting for my brains. I'm a sweet, domesticated little zombie that gets fed. But if I'm no longer supported by you, then that means I'm back on your streets hunting your brains. Until next time.
Psychiatrists will control you and reverse it natural. You will draw from the master race and always wear the happy face.